Hello, and welcome to your Lab Zero video walkthrough. In all these lab walkthroughs, I'm going to be giving you a lot of tips and tricks how to use R and RStudio, but also how to use your computer effectively. These are some excellent skills no matter what field you go into. I think you'll find all these videos beneficial. So please follow them in sequence. The skills you'll use in one video will be used in subsequent videos. And also, please feel free to stop, rewind, and make sure you follow the steps that I'm doing as I'm going through them. So, first step I want you to do is make sure you have some way to securely store your work in this lab, on every lab. In this class, every semester, I have students lose their work. They start on a lab, they do a bunch of work, and they come back the next day saying, I can't find my work. Where is it? It's gone. Well, that's something we can deal with right away by having a secure cloud storage. So if you Google OneDrive download, OneDrive is a cloud storage system that you have free access to as USA students. So you can download the cloud storage and log in using your OneDrive, your one login, your USAO email address, and your one login password. So once you're into OneDrive, you should see something like a folder that has, you might say OneDrive here. Mine says my all.usao.edu. This is all my files that I have stored on my OneDrive cloud, and I have a folder for stats. I recommend creating one. You can pick your folder and right click and say, hey, I want to make a new folder. You can name it what you want. So that way you have easy, quick access to all your labs. Um, that's also important because by the time we come to exams, you will be able to use your labs on the exams. Everything you've done in this class previously, you'll want to have access to. So that's the first thing. Make sure you have a secure place to store your files, keeping organization. And I've organized these files in sequence with lab names and titles. So if you're ready to download your file now, you always should right click and hit save as. That way we can put it into a place where we know it exists. And I've already done this, so I don't have to. And then you can open that folder. I have my stats lab folder, and then I'll open that file. This is my how-to.rmc. That stands for R Markdown. And your computer will probably ask you if this is the first time you're using R. Do I want to use R for opening this file? You should just say yes. If that does not come up, maybe you have not downloaded R yet, in which case you should go back um, to the first page of this course and make sure you have R and RStudio downloaded following those instructions there. So now that you have R going, it should pop up with something like this. This little alert here says package unmarked on not installed. Always hit install because there's packages that'll be listed over here that we want to use. So just say yes on that. This pane, you can click for files and you'll see where the location is of all of our work. You can see the files we want to work on here. Here's my lab that I'm working on. I'm going to do some stuff to make sure R is downloaded. And this pane shows different variables we've made. We'll see what that is in a bit. And lastly, this is where we do our work. So you can change your name here. You never need to change this right here because this little bit of code automatically puts the data in for you. So this is called a YAML header. Basically only change your name. This determines how we want to run our document. Okay, so notice some stuff is still downloading. That's okay. One other thing I want to do before we get going on our lab is I want to change the appearance. I do not like the white screen so much compared to like a black background. It's easier on the eyes. So I go to appearance and hit Cobalt. Hit apply. If you miss that, you go to tools, global options, appearance, and Cobalt is one that I like, but you can choose which one you like. Hit okay, and review that. Down, so I have room to start working. So in every lab, I'll have an objective for the lab. Here, our objective is just to learn to make a lab in a readable format, which is a very valuable skill. Actually, in this age, you have access to so many resources. It would be ridiculous for you to go through college and not be gaining these skills along the way. So along the way, you'll be picking up some really cool skills. So the first thing in our lab that we want to do, I'll have questions listed by numbers. These are things that you should be aware of and do following the instructions preceding. So firstly, we should organize our lab using good section names. So a hashtag is how I make a section name. Every time I make a hashtag with a space after it, that's important, make sure there's always a space, that will show a section. So if I click my outline button here, it shows me all the sections that I will be doing in the lab. So formatting, we can make a new section with a hashtag. So I want to make a new section. My instructions say make a new section and ask me a question. So I will say hashtag, always make a new line before and after a section. Question for you. Why is R so cool? That's my question. But you can ask me whatever you want to look at it. Okay. So notice that made a new section over here, and I can navigate on my lab using that. Okay. Effective navigation is very important. Next, I want to knit my R Markdown document into what I will actually present and turn in. This is just a rough code of what I want to turn in. But if I go over here to knit and say HTML, after it downloads all the things I'm trying to download, it will be able to knit it. So what that does is generates a document that I can look at and publish as a web page. But it's still downloading my stuff, so let's just keep continue. It doesn't matter. You'll note that you'll come upon bugs in your code. So I want to give you some tools to fix your bugs. Stuff doesn't knit like you think it should. It doesn't make the document that I'm about to show you. You should ask your friends, work together, ask me, come to office hours and see in-class sections. And you can also always ask Google. It says, yes. Okay, now it looks like I'm done downloading all my stuff, and now I can hit knit. Tells me how long it's been knitting, but looks like I have some stuff to download, and you can let it do that. And it just only take a long time the first time. After you do it once on your computer, it will always be there. Okay, so it's doing a bunch of stuff to knit my document, stuff that I don't need to worry about, because all I care about is that I get a nice, give it just a second, markdown file of the lab. Here we go. It finally did it. Okay, this is the file that you will be turning in for every lab. And it looks like a web page. Very easy to navigate and document, which is important statistics. We want to be able to present our answers, our work in a very clear, readable way. You can check, hey, these are the sections that I made. Here's my question. And so I can periodically knit my file to check it. And that's when the bugs will come up. If it has something that says couldn't knit for some reason, we'll find it down here and we can try to debug it. But that's something that I'm here to help you with if you ever get stuck on that. Okay, so here's the next section. When we want to, basically we're going to be using R as a calculator. So whenever we want to run a bit of R code, we're going to insert what's called a chunk, an R chunk. And you can do something like 2 plus 3, find out what that is. And R chunks, if they're set up correctly, will have a little arrow here. You can run it, and it gives me the answer. Another way you can do that is you can get inside your code chunk and hit Control Enter, and it'll do it automatically. Okay, let's practice inserting a new code chunk. So the code for a new code chunk is Command Option I, or you can go up here to the little plus, and you hit plus R, and there we can say something like, oh, I should put this below my question here. Question 3 says, add the whole numbers up from 1 to 5. I'll do that. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. One way to do it, 15. And another thing I could do, here's another way I could do it. If I want to be fancy, I can say 1 colon 5. 1 colon 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is what that means. I take all the numbers from 1 to 5. and I could say sum in front of it. That's a fancy way to add up numbers from 1 to 5. So there we go. Um, Another thing we want to do in R is use functions. If I want to do like the square root of something, I can say the square root of 9 and I can run that. I get 3. So another way to get a code chunk is just copy my previous code, but you always want to get these little tick marks ahead of you. If I have some tick marks that are in front of it, if I accidentally like pasted another one here, it's going to start messing up what I'm trying to do. So always just make sure it looks right. If I want to find the square root of 2, there we go. Okay. And then last skill in this lab is we're going to be using recorded results, something like pi. It's a really long number. I don't want to type that out every time. If I use a pi, that's a variable for what the number of pi is. So we can use variables in equations, and we can make our own variables. So here's an example of r equals 1. That's a variable I can make. So if I run this bit of code here, r equals 1 becomes saved as a value in my environment. And c, the circumference formula 2 times pi times r, the asterisk here is our time sign. Because if I were to try to say x, it thinks that's a letter. So here I would store the circumference of a circle of radius 1, it looks like. So notice when I run this code, I don't see anything below it. It doesn't give me the answer. That's because it says just save this. Don't tell me what it is. If I want to see what it is, I have to put C on the line by itself. There you go. I have a C on the line by itself. Or I could put C in a new code chunk and see what my circumference is. So the last question is to find a circumference of a circle with radius 5. So, hey, I already just did that. Why don't I just copy paste my answer and change my radius accordingly? Okay, so then when you finish all your work, you can knit it and upload it to Canvas. Knitting it makes it into an HTML file that is stored on your computer, actually. It's a website, but it's stored as a HTML document. So that's the file that I want to submit. I can go here in my lab, and as a student, I can see a submit button. And I should upload that HTML file. If you forget to and you upload just your RMD file, I will not grade it. I will say, turn it in again. And unless you give me like a reason in your comment of why I didn't knit, of what you're working on and what you want help with. If I just see an Markdown file, I will assume you didn't really finish your lab, and I'll make you resubmit it. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward, lab 0. Every lab, you'll also have a set of online questions that pertain to the lab using the skills you developed. So this is an online homework platform that I can randomize answers that I give to you. So you'll use your lab to answer these questions. And I'll just show you this. The assignment is here. I'll set resume assignment. Oh, I've been working on it already, but it says something like add the numbers from 1 to 18. How should I do that? So now I'll go back to my lab and I'll see, where did I do this? I did something similar. I added up the numbers from 1 to 5. Well, if I wanted to find the numbers from 1 to 18, I should say 1 colon 18. That's all those numbers. So what's the sum of that? Oh, 171. The output from this is given here. So I can copy paste that in here. Okay, 171. Oh man, 1 from 1 to 98. What's that? Guess I can do 1 colon 98. And I don't have to do this all myself. I can just make R do it. Okay, so there's my answer. Submit. And you can see I got it correct. If I did get it correct, I could always use a get a similar question, and I still have a chance to get it 100% correct, full credit, up to 100 times. All right, so next question, what's the square root of 5? Okay, where did I do that in this lab? Okay, if I forget, could think, oh yeah, it was a function. What was the square root of 5? Put that in there. Aha. 2 point something. I'll just copy paste that in there. That's the best thing to do because I don't have to bother with rounding. If I did round, I would want to round correctly to 3 decimal places. So it would be that. Okay. Circumference of a circle with radius 13. I would just change this to 13 here and run it. So I want you to be able to answer these questions pretty quick if you've learned the basic skills. If not, you're just practicing them until you are proficient. So I got 100% of my lab. I'm done for the day. So I hope this helps. No, these answers are randomized, so you probably won't get the same questions that I did. But use these walkthroughs, fast forward, rewind, whatever you want to do. Good luck, and bring your questions to class. All right, see you then.